Good morning. Welcome to Children's Worship. I'm so glad you're here. Today we begin a new worship theme, our summer theme, which is unknown to the adults yet. But I will tell you, it's what does it mean to be called to be the church? So we're being the church. And today we're focused on being accepting of one another and encouraging each other to grow. What does that mean? We'll explore that today in worship. So let's begin. Our opening song is Whoever You Are, We Welcome You. And I'll teach you the first line, and then you can sing along with Juliana and her family. Okay, here we go. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Sing it.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Our chalice lighting is Juliana, and here she is.
Good job.
Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather an online community to celebrate the glories and mysteries of this great gift.
So for our mindfulness practice today, we are going to focus on one aspect of acceptance of ourselves, which is to call to mind and heart somebody who in your life you feel sees you and loves you just the way you are. So that could be me, it could be a parent, it could be anybody in your life, maybe a teacher. Who's somebody who loves you just the way you are? And you feel that from them in your body. You feel that sense of acceptance and care. Can you think of one? So, for our mindfulness practice today, that's all I'm going to ask you to do, is to invite you to really focus your attention on that person's acceptance of you just as you are, that love and care, because we can bring it up in ourselves for ourselves at any time, and especially when we need it. Okay, so we're just going to take some breaths, breathing in and breathing out, and just notice in your body. You can give yourself a hug or you can feel it in your heart. Consider that person. Imagine that they're with you right now, and take in all of that love and support and being seen and comfortable in their eyes. Breathing in, breathing out. Notice how it feels in your body to feel loved and accepted just for who you are. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And make sure you give yourself a big hug, because they would if they're right with you, and maybe they are right now. And I'm sending you one if you need it. For our moment of inquiry today, I had a quick question for you, and it relates to our third principle. Our third principle is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritually grow. So my question is, do you think that all people can grow in some way? Regardless of how their brains are put together or their bodies are put together, regardless of their age, all the differences that people could have, do you feel or do you believe, can you affirm that all people can grow in some way? Because in order for us to be able to to celebrate and help each other to grow, we have to assume that other people can grow and that our encouragement will help them to grow, right? So, a quick story is that my brother and I, one of my brothers anyway, one of my brothers very, very, very different than I am. I was growing up with him, and he was a very different kind of student. He didn't like school very much. He wasn't very good at school, and he struggled and struggled with it. And for me, the way my brain worked, my brain was good for school. Like, I did very well in school, and I was excited about school, and I liked school. So we had very different experiences of school. And he often would get like a note sent home with me from my mom, and they'd be like, "Are you really brother and sister?" Because our grades were so different and our experiences of being a student were different. But you know what? Like, he grew in other ways that the school never saw, right? He grew in ways that were not things that were intellectual and bookish, right? So he was like a fantastic swimmer, for example. Like, he could swim under the water, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like without taking a breath, way, way longer than I could. And he would go swimming in the ocean, and he swam for Boy Scouts. Like, he developed his swimming even though he never took formal lessons, right? He also was really good at trivia, and he would amass all this kind of knowledge about things he cared about. So he grew in that way too. For me, when I think about him, is he was very different than me. And in some ways, he encouraged me to kind of, especially in the water, to be freer and to have a lot of fun. Here's a picture of us. I'm jumping on his raft, which would have scared me a lot to have somebody jump on the raft and flip me over underwater like that. But for him, he didn't care. It was so much fun. So here's me jumping on the raft. How fun it is to have differences and to have a brother like that who can help you grow in ways too. For our story today, Juliana's family, the Foos family, is going to be doing it for us. Here they are.
This story is The Broom Master, a Buddhist tale from Tibet. The children at the village school laughed at Chunda. They said the boy was a simpleton because no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't seem to learn to read or write. But the adults of the village were fond of Chunda, for he had a kind heart, and though he was a wisp of a teen, he always was willing to help running an errand or sweeping a front yard. Chunda admired his older brother Raj above all else. Raj, who was a couple years older than Chunda, was a bright scholar. When he turned 16, he decided to move to the city to study Buddhism at the monastery. Chunda begged to go with him, and his brother found a way for Chunda to live at the monastery to earn his keep by working. At the monastery, Chunda swept the yards and clapped the dirt from the sandals of the monks as they came in for evening meal. He watched and listened as the young monks sat in long conversations. How he wished that he could join in, but he would remember how the children had laughed at him, and his shame always drove him away. Chunda's brother noticed his brother's sadness and longing and spoke to him. Chunda, perhaps you could go study to be a monk as well.
Chunda, perhaps you could go study to be a monk as well.
But how could I become a monk?
How could I become a monk? I can't read or write or memorize.
There is more to becoming a monk than book learning.
There's more to becoming a monk than book learning.
Go see the Buddha
Go see the Buddha
and tell him your wishes.
and tell him your wishes.
He is wise and compassionate.
He is wise and compassionate.
So Chunda went and sat before the Buddha. The Buddha quickly saw that he was an honest young man of pure heart. He gave Chunda just one line of scripture to learn. It was the first of hundreds that each monk was expected to learn by heart. Give up negative actions.
Give up negative actions.
Free yourself from negative thoughts.
Free yourself from negative thoughts.
Chunda tried and tried to learn this short passage, but he had repeatedly asked for help. And once he had learned the first line, he would forget it when he began to learn the second. Chunda returned to the Buddha. And told him what had happened. The kind man sat in silence for some time. Finally, an idea occurred to him. Chunda, you are a hard worker, are you not?
Chunda, you are a hard worker, are you not?
Yes, master.
Yes, Master.
I would like you to have a special job.
I would like you to have a special job.
I want you to sweep the temple hall each day. Can you do that?
I want you to sweep the temple hall each day. Can you do that?
Oh, yes, teacher, Chunda said,
Oh, yes, teacher.
jumping up with delight. That is something I can do well.
That is something I can do well.
Very well then, Chunda.
Very well then, Chunda.
I will give you the job of sweeping the temple.
I will give you the job of sweeping the temple.
That is all you must do.
That is all you must do.
But as you sweep the floors, you must speak these two lines to yourself over and over.
But as you sweep the floor, you must speak these two lines to yourself over and over.
Sweep away the dust.
Sweep away the dust.
Sweep away the dirt.
Sweep away the dirt.
Sweep away the dust.
Sweep away the dust.
Sweep away the dirt.
Sweep away the dirt.
Then one day the Buddha came upon Chunda, who was standing still, thinking hard about something. Chunda, where is your mind right now?
Chunda, where is your mind right now?
Oh, sorry, Master, I should be sweeping.
Oh, sorry, Master. I should be sweeping.
No, Chunda, he smiled.
No, Chunda.
Share your thoughts.
Share your thoughts.
Well, I was thinking that you are a wise man.
I was thinking you were my wise man.
And you had given me these lines to say.
And you had given
These lines to say
these lines to say
about something that I know how to do.
about something that I know how to do.
When I remember to say them, I feel at peace.
When I remember to say them, I feel at peace.
You have not given me any more lines.
You have not given me any more lines.
Do you mean for me to learn something more from this?
Do you mean for me to learn more of this?
Yes, Chunda.
Yes, Chunda.
You have found the peace that is there for us in the present moment.
You have found the peace that is there for us in the present moment.
Now I want you to think about this.
Now I want you to think about this.
You are sweeping clean the dirt from the temple.
You are sweeping clean the dirt from the temple.
Think also about sweeping clean the inner dust and dirt in your mind.
Think about also sweeping clean the inner dirt and dust from your mind.
But what are inner dust and inner dirt?
But what are inner dust and inner dirt?
Well, Chunda, think of the nature of dust and dirt.
Well, Chunda, think of the nature of dust and dirt.
They cover what is beautiful and clean,
They cover what is beautiful and clean,
and cloud what is clear.
and cloud what is clear.
And dust and dirt often cover those things that are old and of no more use.
And dust and dirt often cover those things that are old and of no more use.
It is also the nature of dust that we can see it in the air.
It is also the nature of dust that we can see it in the air.
But when we grasp for it,
But when we grasp for it,
it is not there.
it is not there.
Just like thoughts of the future or the past.
Just like thoughts of the future or past.
Think on this and notice when your thoughts are clouding you.
Think on this and notice when your thoughts are clouding you.
From the present moment and causing unhappiness.
From the present moment and causing unhappiness.
And notice when you cling to old ways of thinking.
And notice when you cling to old ways of thinking.
Chunda went back to sweeping. One day, Chunda noticed that he was often longing to sit with the other students as they talked about the things they were learning. But he would think to himself, I am not worthy to sit and talk with the other monks and students my age, for I cannot read nor write. This way of seeing and thinking was like dirt. It was an old way of seeing himself that kept him from happiness. I should sweep these thoughts from my mind, he thought. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt. He felt peaceful again. Another time he noticed that he was often living in the future, wishing, if only I could read and write like the others. Then, these wishing thoughts were like dust. He was always trying to grasp things out of his reach and missing the present moment. Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt.
Sweep away the dust, sweep away the dirt.
Chunda went and shared his insights with the Buddha, who again smiled. Ah, Chunda, you are doing very well.
Ah, Chunda, you are doing very well.
Tell me, can you stop and enjoy the beauty of a clean temple after you have swept?
Tell me, can you stop and enjoy the beauty of a clean temple after you have swept?
Yes, Master.
Yes, Master.
Good then, smiled the Buddha.
Good then.
I hope you will now remember to also stop to notice the simple joy of a clean inner temple.
I also hope that you will stop to enjoy the mind of a clean and inner temple,
as well as an outer one.
as well as an outer one.
Chunda did stop to notice, and he continued to sweep the inner dirt and the outer dirt. In time, the other students noticed his peace and began to talk to him. He was able to share his wisdom with the other monks. As the years passed, his wisdom and inner peace grew. He became known as the Broom Master, and many came to hear his simple yet profound wisdom.
I'm wondering what you think the story has to teach or remind us about, either about being the church or about acceptance of each other and helping each other grow. You can write it in the chat if you want. One of the things that the story taught me or reminded me about, because this is a new story, so it's so much fun to explore it, right? That all people are different, and that just because one path is clear for a lot of people, it doesn't mean that that's the path for everyone, right? Because we all have different capacities and abilities and strengths. Yeah. So that all of the differences that we have allow us to grow in very different ways. And none of those ways is better than another way, right? Chunda wasn't growing in a negative way. His growth was very different, and it was actually very beautiful because it was authentic. It was real to who he was. Yeah. Another thing this story is amazing about is that the Buddha really recognized and affirmed and promoted that in him, which helped him to realize it in himself. So when we talk about being the church for each other, it means that we continue to encourage each other to grow, and in that environment, we're more likely to grow up strong, right? If somebody tells you you're not good enough, or you can't do that, or you can't even read and write, or whatever it is the ability is, if you get negative messages over and over from other people, how will you grow, right? You lose confidence in yourself like Chunda did. So to be able to support each other is part of how people grow, right? To have that loving presence for each other, and so that we can all grow. And the third thing is that wisdom comes in a lot of different ways, and sometimes it's a surprise, right? So it may not be the way that you expected to have insight or to have feelings of being very connected to all that is, but it could be a surprise even to you that you grow in a certain way that maybe other people aren't doing. Have you ever had that happen? It can be kind of lonely, but it also can be kind of beautiful to grow in ways that maybe the people around you don't necessarily have, but that's okay. That's the way it should be, right? That all of us can grow in the ways and have wisdom in the ways that we need to have wisdom in the world, because the world needs all of our wisdom. And all of those ways, all those channels that wisdom comes through, whether it's one single mantra that you say, or whether some people find wisdom in nature, or whether some people are wise in the ways that they can speak about truth, whatever it is, I'm sure even in your family, people have wisdom in different ways. And it's important to notice and to honor that. Thank you so much, Fu's family. That was really, I really enjoyed seeing that for the first time. Yeah. So for our family connection today, I'm going to ask you a funny question, but maybe you can figure it out together as and just as an exercise. And that would be, if you had a family mantra that you use together, what would that family mantra be? What is something that's kind of really important to your family, and what would give you strength in times where you really just need to maybe have patience with each other, or maybe be able to reach a little higher in terms of your love, in terms of the world? What is something that would speak to your family as kind of Chunda's mantra that you could just say over and over to yourselves that would help you to be better together? I'm curious what my family would say. What would we want our family mantra to be? And I didn't prepare them. I just asked them. So here we go.
How about breathe as a whole? Just taking things in and letting things go, we have to do together.
Yeah. That's a good suggestion.
Together we breathe.
Together we breathe. Noelle, any suggestions from you?
They sound good. I don't really got anything.
What did you say? Oh, what was your first suggestion?
We breathe
We
as
breathe
one.
as one, or we breathe. Does it matter, Ava, which the wording? We breathe as one, or yours was together we breathe. Anybody have a preference? I'll let you two decide, because I could go with either.
Which one do you like?
Together we breathe as one.
Okay.
No, just
Okay.
combine it.
So that's ours. Together we breathe as one. So if we're feeling we need patience, or that we're needing strength, we can dip into that mantra. Okay. Now Noelle offered to play our closing song, and so here we go. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Try it one more time. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Bye for now, and love from church. See you next time. Have a good week.